What's up, guys? Nick Roberts here, and I want to talk about Stephen King's The Long Walk, both the book and the film. So, the book came out in 1979 under the pseudonym Richard Bachman, and Stephen King wrote that as his metaphor on Vietnam, the Vietnam War, of these young boys who were getting called to the draft to go to Vietnam and potentially die. So King took that premise, that fear, and channeled it into a story about 100 boys who could sign up for this competition in this dystopian society called The Long Walk. Now, the rules in King's book, or Bachman's book, is that you start walking and you can't stop walking. You cannot go below 4 miles per hour, which, if you've been to a gym lately and gotten on a treadmill and set the rate at 4 miles per hour, that's kind of a slow jog more than a walk. So Bachman's rules were a lot more harsh than in the film. So in the book, it's 100 boys, 4 miles per hour. If you go under 4 miles an hour, you're issued warnings, and then your final warning, you get your ticket punched, you are shot until there is only one person left. That's the basic setup, that's the premise, and that's all you kind of need to get started on writing a novel. And Bachman, when he wrote it, I'm blown away at all the different directions he took walking basically just in a straight line. As contradictory as that is, story-wise, he was able to go all over the place. So The Long Walk has always been this notorious book that has screamed for adaptation. But because of the content, I'm not sure of its different iterations of being adapted. But I would imagine, because of the content, the visuals of kids being shot is not commercially appealing. So finally, it was adapted this year. Just came out and it was directed by Francis Lawrence, who directed I Am Legend. He directed Constantine and The Hunger Games, which The Hunger Games itself is derivative of The Long Walk. So, a couple of differences between the movie and the book. In the movie, they changed it to walking 3 miles per hour, so that's a little better. And if you're walking until you can no longer physically walk, that makes a world of difference. So, I tried it myself at the gym. I dropped it down to 3 miles an hour, and like I said, it's a world of difference. They had special screenings across the country where you could go walk on a treadmill at 3 miles an hour, and if you fell under, the rules applied. You were issued warnings and then escorted out of the theater. You weren't able to finish the movie if you failed to keep walking. So I thought that was kind of a cool, like, William Castle throwback marketing gimmick. Sadly, it did not work. The Long Walk underperformed at the box office, despite commercial and critical acclaim. I mean, if you put stock in Rotten Tomatoes, I think it has like an 89 on there with the critics, and it's doing well with audiences who have seen it. It's getting good reviews. Problem is, not enough people went out and saw it. There are various reasons why. We could go into that, but I think most of all is it had an unfortunate timing of when it was released, with recent world events happening right before a film with this subject matter is released. So, and also, to the average person, going and sitting in a theater for an hour and a half or 2 hours, however long it is, and just watching 50, not 100, 50 young men walk until they're dead doesn't necessarily scream a good time. So if you're going to the theaters for escapism and to, and feel good about yourself and distract yourself from the world, The Long Walk isn't going to do that. It's true to the source material in that it's super bleak, but there is also a kernel of hope in there. Because and like the Shawshank Redemption, I believe Joe Hill also made this comparison. In the Shawshank Redemption, they're in prison. Hope is not a good thing to have, according to one of the characters. You should just accept the fact that you're in prison. Like these kids should accept the fact that only one of them will survive, and it's most likely not going to be you because the odds are against you. But as these kids are walking, they develop friendships. They sort of bond and rebel and come together despite all of their differences in the beginning. Like once they realize their lives are really in jeopardy, and you and us, the audience, once we see what happens. Kudos to Francis Lawrence for making each death in this film so powerful and brutal. And I'm pretty desensitized to violence in movies, but this didn't feel like I was watching a violent movie. It felt like I was watching a snuff film, and that's how it should feel. This content should not be glamorized, or you should not be like laughing and cheering like you would at like a Terrifier movie where it's like so over the top and absurd. So Francis Lawrence got the tone down. The casting was great. The script was great. Like I said, it mostly stuck to the book. It does deviate a little bit, and one deviation kind of bothered me, and it is a big change that they made. But I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But overall, I really did. It sounds weird to say that I enjoyed the film, because I was sitting there watching something I did not feel like I should be watching, and that's the entire point. So yes, the movie underperformed at the box office. It did not do well. I hope it does well on video on demand, but I think it achieved artistically what it was going for as best as it could, with that premise of children being killed by assault rifles. It did as well as it could. It served as a cautionary tale, reflective mirror to society, and ultimately how the human spirit still can maintain hope and resiliency despite the most brutal and dire situations. So that's my takeaway on The Long Walk. Read the book. Although it's an early work of Stephen King's and it's a Bachman book, it is, in my opinion, one of his top 10 novels. Read the book, watch the film, highly recommend it. And now we're at that portion of the little episode where I look at one of my top 52 horror movie scratch-off cards. I don't know what these are going to be when I scratch them off, and this one's from 1980. It's rated R, 146 minutes, and it's psychological horror. 146 minutes, 1980. The year's throwing me off. I'm not exactly sure when The Shining came out, but yep, I got it right. The Shining, Stanley Kubrick, and hey, it's a Stephen King adaptation. But this is as brilliant a film as The Shining is. It is not a great Stephen King adaptation. So there we go, The Shining, Stanley Kubrick, Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall. Brilliant film, not a great adaptation. You can love both at the same time. So take that philosophy when you watch The Long Walk. If you've read the book, view them as separate entities. It's fun to discuss differences, but you can have a great film or a bad film and still not alter your experience with the book. So until next time, remember, it is not what you're watching, but what's watching you.